here is our Wagyu brisket. And so I'm going to unwrap here. Now, just to refresh my memory, why am I using butcher paper instead of aluminum foil? Exactly. Okay. And what's the idea of wrapping about 2/3 of the way through, 3/4 of the way through? We're sealing in moistness. We're allowing the steam to escape. Now, for testing a brisket for doneness, there are kind of at least 3 or 4 tests. So, number 1 is thermometer. As we said, we're looking for between 200 and 205. Number 2 is what I call the shake test. So I shake it like this and it wiggles like bovine jelly. Okay? Number 3 is the bend test. I lift it up, it droops in the center. Number 4, I can put my hand over it, lift it up, and it sort of droops like a sad mustache. And number 5, if I had a chopstick, I could do the chopstick test, or just take a chopstick and I can push a chopstick pretty easily through the brisket. Okay? So those are our doneness tests. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lift the brisket and I'm going to ask somebody, Jacob, you're here, come grab the paper. And I know they probably want to lick that paper, but there are limits. Okay. Great. Let's think about brisket slicing for a minute. So the first thing we want to do is identify. So here's the point. Here's the flat. This is the end of the flat. So the problem with brisket is we've got our grain in the flat going this way, and we've got our grain in the point going this way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my brisket roughly in half, like this. And I want to tell you I'm not meeting a whole lot of resistance. All right? Oh, look at that. All right. Now, on the point, I'll cut off. Well, you've heard of burnt ends. So, and by the way, look at that. We got a little beautiful touch of smoke here on the smoke ring. Who says you cannot smoke an A5 brisket? So typically what we would do in a regular brisket, this would be kind of a little bit hard and brittle. It is not here. And I would dice this, cut this into pieces, and this would become our brisket burnt ends. True burnt ends. Now in Kansas City, they figured out that you can take the point off, cook it separately, toss this with sweet smoky barbecue sauce and make a sort of meat candy. And that is actually sold separately. And so this is my first taste of an A5 brisket. Oh my God. Holy cow. That is good. Oh my God. No, this is insanely good. And I think what's probably different about this and the A5s they do in Japan is this has a smoke flavor. So I think we'll even share it with everybody. All right. May I have a carving fork, please? So to carve up our brisket flat, remember our grain is running this way. So to carve the brisket flat, come around here. So here are our burnt ends. Okay. And what we'll do is, with the brisket knife, the traditional thickness, they say, is about the thickness of a number 2 pencil. And we'll just keep cutting this way, like this. Thank you. Okay, so keep cutting, and I'm meeting no resistance whatsoever. That's the A5. Some people like to use a serrated knife when cutting a brisket, carving a brisket. I'm actually enjoying this one. So we'll cut this through. By the way, as we start to serve this, we got to save some for Justin, and we have to save some for the chefs down at the Broadmoor, and the security team that was up at 4 o'clock letting me up here. We certainly got to take care of them. All right, so there's our brisket flat, right? And I'm going to let somebody else just carve the rest of it. So take that. Here's our Wagyu brisket flat. Now on the point, what I'm going to do is turn the point around like this. And the point we're going to slice in a slightly different direction. So the point, we're going to cut it this way. Okay? And this particular piece, I wouldn't want anybody to have the misfortune of eating that little dark end piece. Oh my God. This is insane. This is insane. You know what it's like? It's like eating the richest, smokiest imaginable brisket fat in suspension with sort of meat holding it together. Okay, so now this way, we're going to carve the point this way, and you can see now I'm I'm cutting against the grain, right? Because remember, it's those long meat fibers that make brisket tough. So the shorter you cut the meat fibers, the more tender it will be. However, I do not think that toughness is going to be an issue this morning. Are there any questions about the A5? Under normal circumstances, I would, and there's a little pocket of fat up here, but I think today it would be a sacrilege. Any other questions? Look at this, look at this, look at this. Now I do want to warn you, this is going to be really rich, and a couple slices will do it, so do not eat this with the same gusto that you would eat a regular brisket. All right, so I'm going to let somebody else do the remaining slicing. What do you think? Okay.